The thing is, so the thing is establishing this first.
That's what I mean. So what are you doing to get that solid? Like, forget about all the jumps, like use everything else, like the groove, how to get that, like, you know?
So whether you're doing something straight, anything, you know, syncopation, anything you do, you have to make, it goes back to fundamentals, you know, making sure the 16th notes are straight and the accents. People need to be clear about what that is. Also, I found, and I've been noticing over the past couple years, that I found out I've seen so many great drummers, and I find out that a lot of people don't understand how much of a fat sound you can get out of the snare as far as like how much that brings to the table. Because that's why we can play drums with just a bass drum, a snare, and hi-hat, because that's the whole beat. Or, you know, or switching to your ride cymbal, you know, however you look at it. The thing that I found out was that some drummers don't find the difference between just hitting the snare like this and actually hitting the rim of the snare, like the whole thing. So, which one is fatter? Obviously, the one with the rim. So, I had a drummer, one of my great friends from home, like one of my best friends. He plays drum too. He's great, and he made fun of me one time for like hitting rim shots all the time. And I'm like, everyone does that. And he was like, no, they don't. I'm like, yeah, they do. We have some of the same drummers. I'm like, go watch Dave Weckl, go watch Vinny, go watch Steve Gadd. They're not playing this. You hear the difference? So I'm fat, so I have I automatically have a heavy foot. So that just comes automatically. So you could. I've heard some people say they wish they were fat. Once they have to walk up the stairs, they won't want it anymore. So, but so it's having a confident sound, and that goes back to your technique. What is your technique? That's what that is. Is it this or is it this? Now, I'm not saying this is wrong, because if I'm playing some old Beatles, like I like the Beatles, like if I'm playing some Beatles songs or playing some songs, especially at the old school from back in the day, you know, they played this because this is how hard they had to play. They didn't need this. They didn't need that. Now you know, if you're not doing that, you know, your sound isn't coming through enough. You know what I mean? That's so making sure every single element of the groove is tight. Your hi-hat, your bass drum, your snare, you know. And the thing is, that's what makes people dance, right? When it comes down to it, especially like nowadays, yeah, you need some chops, whatever. Not really though. Like if you have a nice feel, you know, you make those things sound good. That's what people want. Producers don't need chops. You know what I mean? Now live is a different story. They want to see some, but as you can see, there's plenty of drummers. They don't do all those chops, but they feel good. You know what I mean? You know, and that's the key. We look over that. You know, we spend so many years doing other things, and we overlook the simple things that are important. You know what I mean? We forget that, oh, maybe I am supposed to still make sure I have good technique while furthering myself in my career or while practicing. You know, it's like, let me practice this chop that, you know, so-and-so did, you know, on YouTube. And we get all the right notes, but we forget about the technique. How did they get that sound? Why was that sound so, you know, big or so fat? Why was that sound so petite, but it came out so clean and nice and pretty? How did he do that? And that's what it goes back to, fundamentals. It goes back to technique. It goes back to simple things like how much of the rim is he hitting when he's doing his snare hits?
When you're going around the toms, right? Are you like rebounding or are you letting them stick? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I'm definitely rebounding. Like, you can't do all those. I do a lot of singles, and you have to use the rebound. You know what I mean? But, of course, you have to force back down to get your next hit. But, yes, I'm definitely using. I'm not going like. I'm going like. All that stuff comes from rebound. And that's actually a good question, because that's mostly the problem when people find a difference of like getting power out of their toms and getting a clean sound is they mistake you know, forcing for they mistake forcing for rebounding. Like, they forget to use the rebound to their advantage, because that's what you have to do. You know what I mean? That's another thing. You have to use all the rebound you can so that you're not using unnecessary energy. You know what I mean? So all these chops, like for instance, if I was using mostly arm for these chops, like, I wouldn't get through a show. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't. I play, you know, I'm in a progressive metal band called Monolith back home, and I do a lot of double bass stuff. And we do a lot of time signatures. You know, maybe a blast beat in that part, and maybe a thrash beat here, and all this other stuff. I can't get through the show if I'm using bad technique. It's not going to happen. I'm going to pass out because I'm not physically. That's honestly like me working out and me running the whole time. Like running for miles the whole time while we're playing a 30, 45-minute set. You know what I mean? And so that's the thing, man. It's just using good technique. So go start on this. Go start at the 8th notes, then, you know, speed it, double it. And then once you got this, you know what I mean? And and think about it, like, when you listen to James Brown records, you know, he had, I mean, it couldn't get much better than the drummers he had for funk. Like, it really couldn't. So, like, they listen to, you hear that crisp sound they get out of their snares. That's not coming from this. That's coming from this. That's exactly where it's coming from. You know, your bass drum is your heartbeat, but the reason why it is a drum set is because everything complements each other, and we forget as drummers to make sure that whatever we're doing is complementing everything. That's what, no matter what band you have, no matter who you're playing with, you're all playing with each other to complement each other. You know what I mean? And so that's what it goes back to. You know what I mean? Does that help at all?